Whenever we try to think of Mr. Bean and how he will react or would react in certain situations that we're thinking of putting him in, I always imagine him as a 9-year-old boy. That's how I always...
Whenever we try to think of Mr. Bean and how he will react or would react in certain situations that we're thinking of putting him in, I always imagine him as a 9-year-old boy. That's how I always see him. Rowan Atkinson just admitted something that's going to shock millions of fans worldwide. The man behind one of the most beloved characters in television history has finally broken his silence about what it's really like to be Mr. Bean. And what he revealed is very unexpected. A confession nobody saw coming. When Rowan Atkinson sat down for an interview with Radio Times, nobody expected what came next. This wasn't your typical celebrity chat about fond memories and happy times. This was different. The 65-year-old actor looked straight into the question about his most famous role and said something that made everyone listening pause. He doesn't enjoy it, the character that made him a global superstar that's brought joy to hundreds of millions of people across every continent, that turned him into one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. He finds playing Mr. Bean to be something else entirely. The words came out deliberately without hesitation, as if he'd been holding them back for years and finally found the moment to release them. The actor stated that performing as the character is stressful and exhausting, and those weren't just throwaway words in a casual conversation. These were deliberate, carefully chosen descriptions of what decades of bringing this character to life have actually meant for him. The role that defined his career. The character with more Facebook followers than Justin Bieber at one point. The character that transcended language barriers and made him beloved from Tokyo to Toronto. Yet Rowan Atkinson has been carrying a weight that almost nobody understood. The revelation hit fans like a freight train because it shattered the illusion we all held. We saw the laughter, the physical comedy brilliance, the timing so perfect it seemed effortless, but we never saw what it cost him. Here's where it gets even more interesting. This wasn't a sudden realization for Atkinson. This was something that developed recently after years of playing the character. The feeling had been there from the beginning, growing stronger with each performance, each film, each special appearance where audiences expected him to deliver that same flawless physical comedy, the burden of perfection. So, what made Mr. Bean so special in the first place? Well, the character's popularity stemmed almost entirely from Atkinson's wordless performance, with the comedian meticulously crafting every physical gesture and facial expression, every raised eyebrow, every contorted expression, every awkward movement. Nothing was accidental, nothing was improvised. There was a careful precision behind everything. The character first appeared on ITV in 1990, launching what would become a phenomenon that nobody could have predicted at the time. 15 episodes across 5 years in the 1990s were all it took to create a legacy that would span decades. Atkinson described the weight of responsibility as not pleasant, a surprising revelation for the millions of fans worldwide, but when you understand what went into creating each moment of Mr. Bean, you start to see why. This wasn't an actor showing up to recite lines and hit his marks. This was a performer who had choreographed every single physical movement down to the smallest detail. The comedy looked spontaneous and natural, but achieving that illusion required exhaustive preparation and flawless execution. Imagine the pressure when millions of people around the world are expecting you to deliver that same level of physical comedy brilliance every single time. No room for error. No ability to hide behind dialogue or rely on other actors to carry a scene. It all rested on his shoulders, on his ability to transform his entire body into a living cartoon character, and he had to make it look easy. The character of Mr. Bean barely speaks. In most episodes, he mumbles at best. This creative choice made to help the show travel internationally without language barriers meant everything depended on Atkinson's physical performance. The character might even be an alien according to some interpretations, which only added to the bizarre physicality Atkinson had to maintain. The visual nature of the comedy rather than verbal allowed it to achieve international success. But for the man performing it, that success came with a price tag nobody else could see. The physical toll. The work wasn't simple comedy. Every episode forced the character into constant physical strain. Awkward poses, exaggerated expressions, and non-stop movement. These demands didn't let up for a second, as these physical traits were built into nearly every scene. Holding uncomfortable positions for repeated takes is only the beginning. Atkinson had to make every strained pose look natural, funny, and effortless. He repeated this across entire episodes, multiple films, and decades-off performances. The level of stamina required went far beyond normal acting, closer to what athletes or dancers endure, except he also had to deliver perfect comedy while his body protested every move. Atkinson wasn't just playing a character. He was transforming himself into a completely different physical being every time the cameras rolled. Every scene required him to inhabit a strange physicality that bore no resemblance to how he naturally moved or carried himself. The way Mr. Bean walks, stands, sits, and reacts to situations, every single movement required conscious effort and control. Nothing about the physicality came naturally because nothing about Mr. Bean's physicality is natural. It's all carefully constructed comedy gold that looks effortless but demands everything from the performer, and what makes it even more grueling is that comedy timing with physical humor means you can't just do it once and move in. You have to nail it take after take. The director needs different angles. The timing needs to be adjusted. Something in the background wasn't quite right. So, you do it again and again and again, each time demanding the same level of precision, the same commitment to the physical transformation, the same energy. The exhaustion isn't just physical either. It's mental. It's the concentration required to maintain that level of control over every muscle, every expression, every movement. It's the focus needed to stay in that heightened state of physical awareness for hours on end during filming days that stretch longer than most people's entire work days. Reflecting on his career, Atkinson later admitted, "It was exhausting." These words captured decades of struggle that audiences never witnessed. The toll was real, constant, and something he carried alone every single time has stepped into that character. The invisible pressure. While we're diving deeper into what Rowan Atkinson revealed, another layer of this story makes it even more complex. The actor explicitly stated that because of the weight of responsibility, he looks forward to the end whenever he plays the character. Think about what that means, not just during filming, not just during the hard parts, always. From the moment he agrees to put on that character again, there's a countdown clock in his mind toward when it will finally beaver. That responsibility he's talking about, it's massive. Mr. Bean isn't just another TV character that people enjoyed and moved on from. This character became a global phenomenon. Parents who watched the original show in the 1990s now show their children the same episodes, and those children are beginning to show their own children. The character has maintained popularity across multiple generations. Now, when you're the guardian of something that means that much to that many people, the pressure becomes almost unbearable. Every time Atkinson plays Mr. Bean, he's not just trying to be funny. He's trying to live up to memories that people have held for decades, to match performances they've watched countless times, to deliver something that feels exactly like what they remember without seeming stale or repetitive. He's trying to meet the expectations of millions of people who have a very specific image in their minds of who this character is and how should behave. One misstep, one moment where the character doesn't feel quite right, and suddenly you've disappointed countless fans. You've failed to deliver on something they were counting on. The character made Atkinson internationally famous among young and old alike, creating a recognition factor that follows him everywhere he goes. People don't see Rowan Atkinson anymore, they see Mr. Bean. The character's massive following adds another dimension to this pressure. Mr. Bean maintained such popularity that his Facebook page attracted more followers than major celebrities. And while that sounds like a dream for most performers, for Atkinson it represented something else entirely. It represented millions more people with expectations, millions more opportunities to fall short, millions more reasons to feel that crushing weight of responsibility, the comparison that reveals everything. Let's think about Atkinson as an all-around actor for a minute. Not just Mr. Bean. A question people may have upon hearing his true thoughts is that if playing this iconic character was unpleasant, then what kind of acting style would he prefer to take on? And did he actually genuinely enjoy any of the characters he played throughout his career? Well, when discussing his career, he made a comparison that tells you everything you need to know. Atkinson noted he doesn't enjoy making anything with the possible exception of Blackadder, since the responsibility for that series being funny was shared among many people, not just him. Blackadder sharing the comedic responsibility is the key. That's the role he actually enjoyed because the burden was distributed. That show's last series ended in 1989, just a year before Mr. Bean debuted, representing a stark transition from ensemble comedy to solo performance pressure. When Edmund Blackadder delivered a witty line, it was funny because the writing was sharp. When the scene worked, it was because multiple actors were playing off each other brilliantly. When an episode succeeded, it was a team victory. Nobody was looking at Rowan Atkinson and saying the entire thing rested on his shoulders alone. Atkinson even expressed that he may return as Edmund Blackadder, noting that the show represented the creative energy they all had in the 1980s. Though acknowledged trying to replicate that 30 years later wouldn't be easy. But Mr. Bean, that's a solo performance in every sense that matters. Sure, there are other people and scenes. Sure, there's a crew and directors and writers. But when that character is on screen, when the comedy needs to land, when the audience needs to laugh, it all comes down to Atkinson and what he can do with his face and body. Nobody else can save a scene if he's not delivering. Nobody else can step in and carry the moment. Atkinson stated clearly that he doesn't actually like the process of making anything, with Blackadder being the possible exception precisely because multiple shoulders carried the burden off making it funny, not just his own. This comparison illuminates something profound about what makes performing ASMR Bean so particularly difficult for him. It's not just the physical demands or even the pressure of expectations, it's the isolation of knowing that success or failure rests entirely on your shoulders. There's no hiding, there's no sharing the load. It's all you all the time. The animated escape route. Rowan Atkinson has found a solution that lets him stay connected to the character while avoiding the aspect she finds so unbearable. Atkinson revealed he's developing an animated film for Mr. Bean and stated it's easier to perform the character vocally than visually. This isn't just a creative decision. This is a strategic retreat from the physical demands that have made playing the character so exhausting. A long-running animated series already proved this approach could work, maintaining the character's appeal without requiring Atkinson to subject his body to the physical punishment of live-action performance. Animation changes everything for him. When he's voicing Mr. Bean, he's in a recording booth. He can do multiple takes without the physical toll. He can nail a line and move on. He doesn't have to contort his body into uncomfortable positions. He doesn't have to hold ridiculous facial expressions until the director is satisfied with the shot. He doesn't have to perform the same physical gag 20 times from different angles. The animated series that preceded this movie proved the concept worked. The character could exist in animated form without losing what made him special, allowing Atkinson to maintain his connection to Mr. Bean, without the stressful and exhausting physical demands of live-action work. Mr. Bean could exist without Atkinson having to put his body through the physical gauntlet that live-action performances demanded. The character could still be funny. The humor could still land. And Atkinson could deliver without paying the physical and mental price that had made playing the character such an ordeal. This move to animation represents more than just a different medium for the character. It represents Atkinson taking control of his relationship with the role that defined his career, setting boundaries about what he will and won't endure anymore. It represents Atkinson drawing a line in the sand about what he's willing to do for this role that made him famous. He's found a way to give fans more of Mr. Bean without subjecting himself to the stressful and exhausting experience of bringing the character to life physically. The last time he embodied the character physically takes us back over a decade. Atkinson's last live-action appearance ASMR Bean occurred at the 2012 London Olympics. That was over a decade ago now. That Olympic appearance was brief, carefully controlled, and represented exactly the kind of limited Mr. Bean engagement Atkinson seems willing to tolerate. Short, special, and infrequent. The animated film isn't just a new direction. It's potentially the only direction Mr. Bean can go if Atkinson has any say in it. Despite the global success, the door on live-action Mr. Bean isn't just closing. Based on what he's revealed about how he really feels, it's being slammed shut and locked. The success he never wanted. Let's talk about the massive success of Mr. Bean and wife for Rowan Atkinson. That success might feel more like a trap than a triumph. The character achieved something rare in entertainment. True global universality, from Muslim countries with strict creative regimes to